Ẹlẹ́ni 1.5 lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ òun ní 2,000 lẹ́jà lọ.
We think in the studio, we want to have as much silence as possible. So please, when the speakers are speaking, don't clap. And also, just join us online. We also encourage every one of us to put off our mic until we are recognized to also speak. And also we are going to, I think the first thing to do.
Oh, sorry, your network is breaking. We can barely hear you. The lines are breaking. The lines are breaking.
Which is organizing the event of today. And we very briefly and very soon we are going to have a remark from Madam Wong, who is the head of the Migrant Resource Centre here in Lagos. So, but we say you give us just some 2-3 minutes to do our last tech checks. Now, I have the honor of inviting Madam the head of the Migrant Resource Centre, and I should also say Madam is a lawyer and also the head of the Migrant Resource Centre at the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. Please come on the stage.
I want to welcome everyone to this webinar titled Study in Germany. So it's put together by MRC and our partners GIZ. I want to know that
Why would you take me? You're not familiar.
Why?
Jollof rice. Very jollof.
Sorry. Hello, good
Please, we can't
afternoon.
hear anything. Yeah.
Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Please, maybe you can change your position. The network is somehow where you are. We can't hear anything.
Hello. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry, we cannot hear anything.
All right, please, if you can hear me, please, we are really working on the audio. Just give us some little time. We'll work on it.
Yes, but then please stop the presentation
No problem.
because we can't hear a thing.
For the
Please follow
information,
the
we're not
slide for
receiving the
now.
information.
Can you just follow the slide? Follow the slide for now because we are far behind schedule, so we need to start and follow the slide.
No, there's no point in starting without the audio.
Can you give
We
him
cannot
the
hear you. We cannot hear you.
the person that was just talking to us now? Can you give him your own mic so that it will be clearer? Because we're hearing you clearly compared to the presenter. The guy that just spoke to
And
us now, what
and
is
there's
the
no
Niger?
slide here. There's no slide.
We
The
can see the
slide is
slide,
showing, but we can't hear
but it's
anything.
not
I
moving.
can see the slide, but we can't hear anything.
Okay, please, everybody, mute your. So I will go. You have to mute your audio. I will go closer to the presenter so you can hear him clearly. Mute.
It's better
Everyone
that
should
way.
mute.
Hello,
Everyone
good
should mute.
afternoon.
Mute.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me, participants? Can you hear me? Is it clearer now? Okay. So there's a problem.
Yes. Come on, see. Look at it here.
So can you hear me now, online participants? Is the volume good? Okay, sorry about that technical glitch. You know how it is. I was just talking about some points that have made Germany become a choice destination when it comes to studies, especially for Nigerians who are desiring to study abroad. Instead of going to the UK or to Canada or to the US, where you pay a lot of money as tuition fees, up to £16,000 in the UK and about 16,000 Canadian dollars in Canada, for instance. Instead of going to these places, you can as well decide to go to Germany, because Germany offers you tuition-free education. You can go to school at any level in Germany without paying tuition fees at all. Like I said before, the technical glitch, it's just one federal So make sure you get professors. If you do not have professors in your department, then find someone who is at the highest level of authority in that department to write your letter of reference. If you're already working, please do not submit 2 academic references. Have 1 academic reference and get another reference from your place of work. And I would advise also that the person who is in charge of your place of work writes that second reference. This is very important. Another thing, like you already know, will be your transcript and the proof of language. So if you're going to study in English, like we said, a lot of courses are now done in Germany with English. So you need the proof of language, TOEFL, IELTS, and so on and so forth. Then PhD. PhD is on a level of its own. The traditional way of doing a PhD in Germany is that you need to seek first a professor, a German professor in your field who has been researching on the topic you are interested in, and have them accept to supervise your PhD research. That's usually the very first thing you need to do. How do you find a professor? You are living in Nigeria and you need a professor in Germany. Maybe during the question and answer session, I can shed more light on how you can get a professor in Germany. But you really need a German professor to accept to supervise your work. Again, the letter of recommendation and then the proposal. So to get a professor means you should have developed a very good proposal that is adding value to whatever field of research that you are going into. So these are important points for PhD. And now you have some very important addresses. The first one is the UniAssist website, which I talked about before, especially for those going for undergraduate and master's program. This website will be very helpful for you. Here you have the Study in Germany website. You'll find a lot of information on this website on how to go about your study plans in Germany. The next one is the Goethe Institute website. If you need to learn German already before going to study in Germany, Goethe Institute is there to guide you. There's an office here in Lagos, and they cooperate with a lot of German centers, German language centers across the country. So you can get in touch and we'll connect you. Then very importantly is this scholarship website, the DAAD scholarship. This is a scholarship fully funded by the German government. Like I told you at the beginning, I am also a beneficiary of this scholarship. That was the scholarship I used for my master's and for my PhD in Germany. On this website as well, you can find the steps, all the steps you need to gain admission in Germany, to identify schools that teach the course you are interested in English language, with links to the university websites and so on and so forth. Then Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. This is funded by the European Commission, and the Mundus part of it is focusing on developing countries, the so-called Global South, including Nigeria. They have a lot of scholarship opportunities for people. With this scholarship, you can do a master's program in 2 different countries, sometimes 3 different European countries. That means you do your first year in Germany, for instance, and your second year will be in France. Last December, I met a friend in Germany who is she's on the Erasmus Mundus scholarship in 3 different countries. First semester in Germany, second semester in Norway, and third semester in Italy. Here you have some do's and don'ts, which I can elaborate on when we come to the discussions. Now, when you have applied for admission and you have secured admission, the next thing you need is your visa, right? You need a legal document to be able to enter Germany. So you need to, go about that process. The very first thing you need to do is the blocked account. I told you before that you need some money to go to Germany, right? Even though it's free of charge to go to school. You need to pay your rent, you need to feed, you need to pay your semester contribution, and so on and so forth. Now, these monies that I was showing you earlier have been summed up to about 11,208 euro in a year, in 12 months. Now, if you break this money down on a monthly basis, it's just approximately 900 euro per month. The German government wants everybody who wants to study in Germany to have this money blocked in a German account. The embassy in Abuja or the German consulate in Lagos will assist with the process of opening an account in Germany and blocking this 11,208 euro in that account. Now, when you have gone to Germany to start your studies, you will go to the bank and unblock the account. The bank will be remitting approximately 900 euro, a little above that, to you on a monthly basis. It's your money that you have put in the account, right? They'll be paying you that money on a monthly basis, about 900 euro per month for 12 months. So this is the money you are expected to spend on feeding, on semester contribution, on transport, on accommodation, and so on and so forth. And again, you have a chance to work while you are getting this money, right? So when you have blocked accounts, you can apply for an appointment for your visa. The consulate will invite you after a while to an interview to be sure that you are going to Germany to study, right? Because some people want to use study as an escape route for job buying, right? That is what we do not encourage. So go for a specific purpose. If it's study, go for study. So the embassy or the consulate would like to be sure that you are doing that. So I've mentioned this already, and you have, when you now have an appointment and you have your visa, you can now travel to Germany. Here you have a list of things that are required, list of requirements. I can elaborate on this list, during the question and answer session if you are interested. But you can find this list also on the embassy of the German, on the website of the German embassy. Here also you have some do's and don'ts, what to do when you go for a visa interview, what you should not do. For instance, like I said, you must be very versatile with the subject matter, with your course, so that when they ask you questions, you can really justify that you are going to study. You should know about the city and the university you are going to study. These are some of the things you should have written in your letter of motivation anyways. So, you are in Germany. You open your block account, you register your address, you start enjoying your life. And by the way, after 3 months, the visa you have from Nigeria will expire. So before the end of that 3 months, you would have converted the visa to a residence permit, which is a Schengen visa. With that residence permit, you can travel to all the Schengen countries while you are studying at very low cost. So I think I'll stop here at this point, and thank you so much for your audience. Thank you. Where? I don't know. Speak first, let's hear.
Hello.
Can you hear her now? Can you speak? Oh, sorry, hold on, please.
Sorry.
Please hold on.
No, I think we should take questions from so people don't forget what they
Yes,
want.
okay. Questions, yeah.
Unmute your okay. Hope they can see. Hope they can see. You need to.
This chair is too big. Yes, I'm okay. Yes, better. This one is too big for this one.
Yeah, big.
Higher. You can take 2 from here. Yeah, well, I can't use this.
Yes, he's using his phone. Yes. Don't worry, don't worry.
with Caritas, where I was educated on the process and how to return back. So from there, I was introduced to Nigerian-German Centre. The experience was okay because I was channel to a particular field where I wanted to fix in. I was referred for a poultry training, a livestock training, which they trained me about piggery, fishery, and also chicken. So after then, I'm able to go into the business. After the training, I was able to start the business, and I was able to start small by small piglets, like minimum of 20. From that, it's multiplied to a very large number. I was able to sell it out. How I feel right now in my own business.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Austin, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Despite the interferences, we'd also like to apologize to our audience online, participants online. We had some glitches. These are things that sometimes occur despite hard preparations, and we think we are going to get over that and move on to the questions. So now for the questions and answers, we are going to have a brief moment for questions and answers as well. I hope you are on me. Hello, backstage, you're on me, bro. Okay. So we are going to have a brief moment for questions and answers, and I'm going to encourage participants online to type in their questions. I'll get them and read them out for Dr. Austin to take. But before we get to participants online, we also have guests here in the studio with us who we know might have one or two questions to ask. So we will come to them first, and while we are doing that, participants online will now be able to type their questions. I will be read out as I said. Dr. Austin, I was saying the other time that you also benefited from a process like this. I don't know whether you might share a little bit of that personal experience. People at home would also want to have a life testament to this.
Okay, so yes, you're correct. I am an alumnus of the DAAD, which is the German government scholarship that I mentioned, both for my master's program and for my PhD, right? And at the time, we were not so much into the information technology age like we are now. So getting information was not so easy, the access to information. But I had the interest to study abroad. Also because I had a strong first degree results, right? I finished with a first class, and that was a motivation already for me. And I needed funding because I didn't have the money to pay for this blocked account that I talked about. So, and I was somewhere, somebody just talked about the DAD scholarship. I said, man, what was this? In those days, this was like 2007. 2007 was when I applied. We used to buy time and go to the cyber cafe and spend all night when the network we feel would be stronger. That was what I did. I went all night with the time, and I browsed. I saw the requirements. I was working at the time at a university, which was also an advantage for me. So it's good to be productive. DAAD is targeted at supporting people who would like to go and develop themselves and contribute to the development of their countries afterwards. And that was the logic for me. So I put up my application together. I emphasized on the statement of purpose, the motivation letter. Very important. And how do you write a motivation letter? You can Google that. But it's basically about relating your past to your present to your future. Finding a way of connecting all of these. But for DAAD scholarship, important thing is to connect that to development of your home country, Nigeria. And that was what I did. Another thing I did was that when I was applying for my program, for master's program, I established some relationship with the admission unit of the program I was applying to. And this is a very important tip that I will give to you. Even if everything on the website is clear, engage them, ask questions, seek clarification on one point or the other, so that when your application lands on their table, something has been registered in their mind already, especially if the engagement you had with them it was quite interesting. That already influences the way they perceive you. So I did that. Nobody told me to do it, but I felt it was important. I got feedback. I had some exchanges with them via email, and then I was selected for that scholarship. So that was my personal experience.
Thank you, Doctor. And one of the reasons why I asked that is to say that some of the things we are saying here, they are not abstract. We have concrete example of someone who have benefited from this process. So we have had some interesting questions online, and I think one major recurring theme of a particular question is this question of test of English proficiency. So now there are people who are asking here that is it possible to so now let me read this out.
Yeah.
Why do I need to write English exam to show I understand English? Nigeria official language is English, and all my classes were taken in English. So now another one also asks a question that is similar to that. Is proof of English compulsory to study undergraduates in Germany? There's also another part that is it not possible to show a letter from a university that one actually studied in English language. Would that be sufficient?
Okay, so thank you. Thanks to the participants who asked these questions. So basically, like I said before, for undergraduate program, you have majority of the courses in German. And for that, you really need to go through the German language process. You have to acquire the skill up to B1 level before you can apply for admission. And when you get admission, you need to go through the student college process, like I mentioned before, 2 years in Germany to upskill your German language proficiency, like to take it up, and then to move from O level to A level. So that's for the undergraduates. But if there are courses that are taught in English language at the undergraduate level or at the master's level, proof of English language is a requirement. However, I like the question that referred to a letter from the registrar. From experience, many universities in Germany will accept a letter from the registrar of your university in Nigeria testifying that you've done all your studies, all your communication, everything you've been doing in English language, and your proficiency level is sufficient to take a course, in English language in Germany. But you will not know this except you engage the admissions unit. Like I said before, always find a reason, one thing or the other, to engage the admission units with, get clarifications. But not every university accepts this, but a whole lot of universities will accept a letter from the registrar of a university here in Nigeria.
So there is also another question here concerning verification of documents. So the question is, where does one actually verify?
Okay. Yeah, of course, the system. The public notary, for instance, is the standard place where, world over, you can certify your documents, right? The public notary. You know what public notary is? There are lawyers. These are practicing lawyers who have the license. They've applied and got license to certify documents. So they are called public notary. There are offices all over Nigeria. So identify one in your area, go there, but it costs you money to do that. which is why in my presentation I noted that you can certify your documents at the German embassy or the German consulate, and you do that for free. So the idea is to save cost, right? So when you have your admission and you are going to apply for visa, you need the embassy or consulate to support you with opening an account in Germany. They can also certify all your documents. I certified all my documents at the German consulate in Lagos in my days, and they were just okay that way for free.
Okay, so there's a question here concerning family. That is it possible for one to bring in one's family upon gaining admission?
Yes, very interesting question. So when it comes to bringing in your family, it's very possible. I brought my family as well as a student, right? But it's tricky because you need additional funds. Let's assume you're not on scholarship. So you are blocking this 11,208 euro, for instance, for yourself. And you want to bring your wife. That is additional expenses. Of course, not times 2 of 11,000 euro, because you are getting the same house, you are cooking in the same pot, some costs can just balance up. So it's an additional money which should be between 300 and 500 euro extra. That is per month. Do you understand? About 300 to 500 euro per month for your spouse. If you've got children, that's another 200 to 300 euro per child. So you need to have these proofs to be able to bring your family to Germany. But the process usually is that you go first, establish a bit, like get an apartment, and you need a big apartment. Germany is not like Nigeria where maybe sometimes 8 persons will live in one room or a room and parlor and something like that. No, it's regulated. There's always square meter for each person. And for a family, normally a child should have their room. You can have one room if you have 2 children, and have 2 different beds if they are of different sexes and stuff, like different gender, stuff like that. And you have your own room, and then a living room, for example. So you need to get a bigger space, and you must have your residence permit in Germany, of course, some of these requirements. And Germany also does what they call family unification process. It's a process because they will investigate all the documents you have submitted. It takes a while. It takes up to 6 months. They will send a lawyer. When I brought my wife, they sent a lawyer who traveled as far as Anambra State to check her secondary school, to check her university. They went to the court where we had our wedding. They checked all of these things before they gave her a visa to join me, her husband, in Germany. So that's the process. So it's possible to do that, but you need to be patient.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you say this too, because I don't know, do we have questions here in the studio? Okay, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I really appreciate your lecture and about the German study. So there's something I want to ask. When you're talking about the block account, is it the money you spend there on your semesters and your years you spend in Germany? So because now you talk about the website where people can Google and go through everything you need for you to be able to get a chances to get to Germany there. But in Nigeria nowadays, there's a lot of fraudster website online. So as you as a doctor and you know much about it, how can you help? Where can you direct? I say, okay, fine. For you, if you want to take this step, this kind of website you have to go through. This is the kind of consultant you have to follow.
Okay, I think this is pretty easy, like straightforward. The website, I didn't just show you the names of the website, right? I also showed you a picture of how the website looks like. You remember? So I would always recommend the DAAD website. That website is very important for anyone that wants to study in Germany. Not only because it's a scholarship website, it's a website that provides you also with a step-by-step process of seeking out a school that teaches the course you want to do, maybe in English language, connecting you to the website of that school where you'll see all the requirements and the processes of admission. It's a website that provides you with information on living in Germany even. Your early days, when you have got to Germany, what next? What do you do? So you don't get lost. So this will be, for me, like the most important website for anyone who wants to study in Germany. And I'm sure you will get the presentation, hopefully.
Sure.
I don't know how else to tell you how to determine whether a website is genuine or not. But from my little knowledge, I think usually when you type in a website, after the www, after the hyper, the name of that website should show. Nothing else comes in between. If it's DAAD, the next thing has to be DAAD, not PHP or whatever, something like that, right? And I think there's another thing that comes at the end to show that it's secured. Yes, yeah, the security sign that comes at the end of the website. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah. I should say to our participants online that most of the questions, it is not all the questions that we'll be taking. We'll put them in a parking lot. We send these slides, the presentation to you. We have your emails for those who registered to participate in this event. And but there's a particularly interesting question here that I think we should take as the last question from participants online before we take two more here. The question is, I have a question regarding the visa process. How many months does it take? After registering to secure an appointment in 2022 October, I didn't get a confirmation email until after 18 months and some days. And currently I don't have an admission. I applied for the Dutch scholarship last year because of the long waiting visa process period, but I was not given admission. Is it still possible for me to process an admission and still meet up because I have less than 30 days for it? So
less than 30 days?
Less than 30 days. So this is a practical question concerning the visa application process.
Yeah, thank you, participant, for this question. When it comes to visa, you know, the way governments are organized, there are different ministries that are handling different things, right? So for the German government, it's basically the Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Foreign Office, so to say, which is represented by the German Embassy and the German Consulate in Lagos, Abuja and Lagos respectively. We understand that there are some challenges with, you know, getting an appointment for visa, but there are already some inter-ministerial discussions going on that will alleviate, that will take care of these challenges to make the process faster and more seamless, right? For the participant that's asking this question, 30 days for me is too short a time. You know, if that's really what you have to get an appointment, usually until these discussions are concluded and the process becomes, you know, quite faster and seamless, it takes quite some time, you know, to get an appointment. There is something on the slide that I did not mention. When it comes to applying for appointment in the German embassy or consulate, there are two categories. They have category A and category B. It's on the slide, but because of time, I didn't talk about it. Now, category A, people in that category will get quick response, and these are people who finished with first class in their first degree, and they are going for a master's program. People that have scholarships from either the German government or the European Union or Commission or any European reliable organization, right? And people going for PhD research or postdoctoral fellowship. All of these are in category A. So these people will always get very speedy responses when it comes to getting appointment for visa. And the rest of the persons and the rest of the applicants are packed in category B. The intention was not to discriminate, but rather to streamline processes for the. I'm not a staff of the embassy, but I know this is what happens, right? So this is also part of why we emphasize on the need to, when one has the opportunity to finish well and strong. Having a first class is not the be-all and end-all of reality, but sometimes it does help. There's a quick point I want to make about an alternative to the 11,000 euro approximately, the blocked account or the scholarship, right? So you must have a blocked account if you don't have a scholarship. If you have a scholarship, you don't need a blocked account, right? But if you don't have these two, there is something else that could stand in as an alternative. And that's what they call declaration of sponsorship. Verpflichtungserklärung auf Deutsch. So this is a document that someone living in Germany can give to you. This person is comfortable enough to take on this roughly 900 euro cost monthly for you. So they can fill out that document and give to you, and it suffices really as proof of funds for your visa process, especially for the graduate or master's program. So, yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. So we are going to take, our time is fast spent. So I will just suggest that since we are here, and we also have our partners from the Migrant Resource Centre who are also resourced to answer some of these questions. So there are things that we can push over and then take. We appreciate. So thank you. So I think moving on, like I said, we promise that it's going to be a very brief. We promise that it's going to be a very brief event. So, Doctor, thank you for doing this. And we also have with us another resource person from Goethe Institute, and that's Veronica Adeloye. She will be taking the presentations on. Yes, of course.
Thank you so much.
She will be taking the presentation on technical education in Germany. So the stage is completely ours for the next 15 minutes. Veronica.
Okay.
Sorry, Vera.
Yes. Yes. Hello. Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope we've been getting a lot of information and we've been storing them carefully. Yeah? Yes. Okay, great. So my name is Veronica Adeloye, and I work as the project coordinator for Prepared and Successful in Germany, which is a project of the Diaconie, but in collaboration with the Goethe Institute. Now, the project supports migrants who would like to travel to Germany, either to work, to study, to join their families, or to take up a vocational training. So I'm here today now to talk about what vocational training is, what are the processes, and what do you stand to benefit from this vocational training. Now, vocational training in Nigeria is also something we do. We do vocational training here as well, but it's quite different from the way they do it in Germany, because it has a lot of different processes, and then the certificate you get is recognized in Germany as well as other European countries. So it is not just if you get it, you use it only in Germany, you can use it in other places as well. Okay? See the slides as well. Okay. Yes. So now vocational training in Germany is called Ausbildung. Ausbildung. It's a German word that literally translates to vocational training. Now, it is a dual system of education, and training that combines both theory and practicals. Now, the idea behind this vocational training is that there are some people after their secondary school or high school in Germany, they don't want to go to the university. They just want to go directly into the workforce and earn money to support themselves. So vocational training was created with these people in mind, just so that, okay, you still need to have some sort of higher qualification after your high school. A high school diploma is not going to be it all, you know? So you need something higher. So it is not a university degree, but it is still higher than high school degree, you know? Just like when we talk about like OND, HND, that kind of vibe in Nigeria, but it is also kind of different. Now, this Ausbildung or that vocational training is pushing you into the workforce. So like I said, it combines both theory and practice. So it is always linked together with a school. So you have to go to this school for the theoretical part of it, and then when it comes to the practice, you will be working in a German company. Now, German companies in Germany, they usually have spaces for people who would like to do Ausbildung in whatever field. So there are a lot of fields in Germany, and every year we have about 500,000 new contracts that are concluded every year. Now, in Germany right now, you know, there's a lot of shortage occupations. Now, these shortage occupations usually have a lot of Ausbildung opportunities. A lot of Ausbildung opportunities, and that is why it is quite preferable for a lot of foreigners. Actually, a lot of foreigners would prefer to go through the Ausbildung route. Now, there are different types of Ausbildung you can do in Germany, different types of vocational training. We have the most common one, which is called the dual vocational training. That is the most common one that a lot of people would like to go through. Now, for dual vocational training, you are working at a company about 80% of the time, and you're only going to school about 20%, you know, because it is more practical based than the other types of vocational trainings. You do more practicals, so you have more hands-on experience, so that immediately you are done with the period of the vocational training, you can go directly into the workforce because you already have the knowledge, the skills, and the expertise that you need for this kind of job. And we also have the school-based vocational training. School-based vocational training now, you know, as you can hear the name school-based, it focuses more on, you know, the theoretical aspect instead of the practical aspect. Now, the school-based vocational training is usually for a lot of courses that you need more theory. You need to know more theory before you can practicalize. For example, if you want to work with children, for example, as a speech therapist for children, you know, you have to learn more of the theory before you can practice, because nobody will come and bring their child for you to use as practical, you know. So when you want to do the practice, they will take you to a kita or the kindergarten. They'll take you to kindergarten, and then you can associate with the children, but you learn more of this association in the school. Okay, and then we have dual studium, which is dual study. Now, dual study is the highest form of vocational training, so you get a higher qualification when you finish dual study compared to if you do dual Ausbildung, dual vocational training, or school-based vocational training. Now, the certificates you get for each of them would be different. It's not the same, so it has different names for the three of them. So the one for dual studium is the highest one, because after your dual studium, you get the chance of getting a higher salary than when you do vocational training and when you do school-based vocational training as well. Okay, so I already explained how it works. You're working with a company and going to school at the same time. So you're getting, at the end of the month, a salary from the company, and then you have to take the assessment test. The assessment test from your school and the assessment from your company would determine at the end of the day if you pass successfully or if you do not pass and you cannot graduate. Okay, so the duration of vocational training is usually between 2 to 3 years, but it can also be reduced because a lot of people come in with foreknowledge of what they want to learn. For example, you already from your home country, you work as a carpenter, and you want to go to Germany to do a vocational training on this carpentry work. Now, what kind of vocational training would that be? It would be what? the dual vocational training, because if you want to make furniture, you need more practice than you need theory. So most people from here, they already have the knowledge and the experience. They just need the certificate. So if they go to do, for example, a vocational training in furniture making, depending on how experienced they are and the level of their work, the duration of the vocational training can be reduced for them. So instead of 2 years or 2.5 years, it can be reduced by half a year, 6 months, or even up to a year. Okay. Now, for you to take up a vocational training in Germany, you should be above 18 years and above, then you are eligible. And also, the language requirements for a vocational training is usually very high. Now, that does not mean that there are no vocational trainings in English language. There are, especially when it comes to branches like tourism, hotel management. You can find vocational trainings that are in English language, but majorly German language skills is required at a level B1 or the B2. And since I work at the Goethe Institute, I can briefly explain what the language scheme is about, because there are 6 levels. So you have level A, level B, and level C. Each of these A, B, C, they're divided into 2. So A, A1, A2, B, B1, B2, C, C1, C2. Now, A is the elementary level for beginners, and if you want to do a vocational training, you need to be in level B, right? But B is for intermediate level. Now, you can see B1 minimum. That's the least you can have for them to consider you. But if you want to be assured that if you apply, you're going to get it, you should have at least a B2. Recommended B2. Now, the level C means you're already a German yourself. You can speak whatever and understand anything at all. You're a German guru when it comes to the language. So that is what the level C is for. So if you have B2, you can be rest assured that your application might be considered. Yeah, and the qualification, high school or the equivalent of high school diploma, as well as higher degree holders, so BSc, HND. And applications are usually accepted a year in advance. So usually it's every September is when they have new intakes, but they also have new intakes depending on when the company puts out that they need people for, they have open spaces, so you can always apply. Now, when it comes to the costs, for dual Ausbildung, there are no cost implications, and you get paid a salary. We already talked about it. Now, the salary would be increased every year as well. So after your first year, there's an increment. After the second year, there's an increment, and then until you're done. Now, there are more than 350 occupations, which we already talked about. And in September of 2023, which is just last year, according to reports, more than 70,000 Ausbildung places were left open, that they had nobody to fill it up. So you can see there's a high demand for people with vocational skills, and there's a low number of people applying. Now, when you want to apply for the Ausbildung, you can always apply with this website. I think you will get them when you get the presentation as well. The presentation will be sent to you, so you can check on this website. I would especially recommend the Bundesagentur für Arbeit website. It is one of the German government job portals in Germany, but it is written entirely in German language, which is why they expect you to know a little bit of German if you want to use the website, but it is highly recommended. Okay, now what are the steps to take this vocational training when you want to apply? First things first, get your certificate recognized and translated into the German language. You need to get your certificate translated. We already talked about getting the German language certificate, B1 or B2, preferably B2. And then you apply for open positions, apply for your visa, and attend the interviews with the companies. When you attend the interview, they will tell you if they want to employ you or not. Of course, since you're working with a company, it's going to be like they'll give you a contract to show that, okay, yes, we want you, And when you get the contract, you take it to the embassy. The embassy is going to check it out to issue you the visa. We already talked about this. There's no financial implications, but if you want to go to Germany for a vocational training, you need to have the money that would take care of you for the first month of your stay in Germany before you start to receive your salary. That is if the vocational training you want to do comes with a salary. If it doesn't come with a salary, then you have to show proof of funds that you can take care of yourself. And my colleague Austin has explained the proof of funding and how to, get it, your blocked account and all of that. So basically, you need a declaration of commitment if they are not going to be paying you any salary, because the salary is there for you to be able to take care of yourself. So you just need to provide the funds for the first month of your stay in the country before you start to get paid. So if you don't have a vocational training that would pay you, then you need to sort out the finances by yourself. Okay, but while taking up the vocational training, you can also work part-time in another field entirely that is not related to the vocational training you're taking up. You can work in another field for up to 20 hours a week, the same as when you go for studying. Okay, so thank you for listening. That was vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Now that is German. So it's an interesting language if you're interested in learning. Yeah. Danke.
Thank you, Vera.
Bitte.
So to our participants online, thank you. I think we should start the question and answers.
Yes, please.
So how hard is it to learn German to study?
Well, basically, it depends on if you have a purpose. I think that if you have a purpose to study the language, you get more motivation, because then you know, okay, there's something I want to achieve, so I have to put in my all, because this is a requirement that I cannot do without. But personally, I learned German language at the university as my first degree, so I have a bachelor's. Yes, for German as a foreign language. Yes, so it was basically just my own wish and my intention to learn a foreign language, and why not German,
All right. I think just a follow-up question on that. For people who are interested in this, in acquiring a B2 level of competence in German language, so how long is it going to take?
Okay, so basically at our institute, the courses are usually for 8 weeks. So A1 8 weeks, A2 8 weeks. So that is if you're taking, the intensive classes. So if you're taking the regular classes, 8 weeks. So basically we usually say, okay, 3 months for each level. But it usually takes a long time for other people, depending on how fast you learn. For some people, they learn really fast, so the duration of learning is usually shorter. But for people who find it a bit difficult to learn new languages, it could be longer than 3 months for one level. So usually before you get to B2, it takes about a year, 1 year, so 12 months for you to know that, yes. But if you're studying morning, afternoon, evening, I think you should be good to go in 9 months.
Thank you. So I'm going to take questions now, first from participants online.
Yeah.
So there's one for you here. Is it possible I get a house building place with B1 yeah, I think.
Yeah, yes, like I said, a minimum of B1 is the requirement, minimum. So some companies would hire you with a B1 certificate, but you still have to go further and learn more. Like you need to go higher when you learn. Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know, participants here with us. Is there questions for Vera? Are there questions for Vera, Lada?
So I was asking, that was my initial question for the certification here in Nigeria. So one who has acquired a HND certificate will be able to access the scholarships or work as
in vocational training, yeah. Because for a vocational training, no previous knowledge is required because you'll be taught from scratch as if you don't know anything, you know. So you don't need to know anything about the field. You will be taught, okay? So they require you to have at least finished secondary school and gone higher. So why can higher? Yes.
Is there aviation course involved in
Aviation courses. Well, I would suggest that you look through like Lufthansa. You know Lufthansa, right? Yes. So one of the leading. Yes, there are some Ausbildung opportunities in the aviation sector as well, because of course they're teaching you from scratch, like air traffic controller, for example. Yeah.
So there's also a question here. This person wants to know what the remuneration mode is in Germany. Do they pay hourly, monthly?
Well, it depends on what you have on your contract, basically. So that's the decision between you and the company, what the company is willing to offer you. But basically, when you submit your application at the embassy, they are also going to check and kind of check that the salary you're earning from this vocational training will be enough to take care of you. If it won't be enough, then the company has to increase it. So basically, you'll be getting paid the normal amount they would pay a German person.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think there's another question here about learning German. That can it be taken online?
Yes, there are German courses online as well. You can learn online if you want to. But the most important thing I think is for you to get a really, really good tutor instead of learning with the language apps, you know? Because when you use the apps, it's kind of like electronical. So when it comes to, you know, the pronunciation of some words as well as some nitty-gritty and some country-specific lingo, like, you know, in Nigeria, if you learn English, the English we speak here, it has some Nigerian flavors. So if you learn from someone directly, you can get a lot of these flavors as well, which would help increase, you know, your knowledge of the language as well. So it's better to learn with someone than for you to learn with the apps.
Someone wants to know here that do you have offices here in Nigeria for visitation in case they have further questions?
Oh yes, you can come to our institute, Goethe Institute Nigeria, on the island, Victoria Island, Lagos, Anifowoshe Street number 7. So we have consultations there for people who would like to travel to Germany, and the consultations are free. You don't need to pay. So you can come ahead with your questions every Friday. You can just walk in. But if you don't stay in Lagos State and you stay like in other states in Nigeria, or you just cannot make it to our institute, we also do the consultations online via Zoom, but you need to register first on our website so we can give you the Zoom link.
Okay, I think there's another practical question here. How easy it is? How easy is it to get the house building position after learning the language?
Okay, so how easy it is, to be very honest, it's not so easy. It's not a walk in the park, because even after you get your certificate, you need to apply to these open positions as if you are applying for a job, you know, because you're applying to a company. So if you write your application letter and your motivational letter and they don't fit, or you don't have, you know, a very, very convincing motivational letter as to why you want to work there, your application might be denied. So I would not say it is so easy. Immediately you have the language certificate, you are getting it for sure. No. You're applying for a job, so you need to put in the seriousness that is required for applying for a job. Because even if you apply, your application is successful, and then they call you for the interview, and you already lied on your CV and said, I speak German at level C1, when you only have like A level, and they are just speaking German to you and you can't reply, obviously it's going to be an issue, because the interview process also matters, because they will go through all the process needed before they employ you, because you'll be an employee since they're paying you, of course.
Okay. Yes, let's have it.
Sorry, the question is now. It's talking about the level B1, B2, C1.
Yes.
So, what's the category of the B1, as in, just give an example, is it like a primary school?
No.
Or something, the B1, is it, how we know, okay, I'm in B1, I'm in B2, I'm in C1. So
okay,
how we know?
Usually you need to write the certification exam If you pass, you know you're in level B. So usually people just take classes. They take A1 and A2 classes, and then they take B1 classes and write B1 exam first. So if they pass, they know they can go higher. If they don't pass, they know they still have work to do. Okay, but of course, when you start to learn the language, you would know A1 and A2 is basically child's play. When you're in A1, they're teaching you ABC and 1, 2, 3 in German language because you don't know it. Yeah, you know only English. You don't know anything about German language. So A1, they will teach you ABC. Good morning. My name is this. How are you? Like they will teach them in primary school. But when you get to level B, let's say you're in secondary school, and then level C is at the university. Because even the university language requirements, if you want to study in Germany and the course is taught fully in German, you need a level C1.
Okay. So my question is, like few months ago, like last year, I applied for Canadian visa, but they required for medical result and police cases. Is it also in Germany as well? Like
Well,
when you're applying for such, do they need it?
yeah, actually, you need, I know for sure you need an insurance policy because before you travel to Germany, you need to have insurance. That is even going to be a requirement at the embassy. Yeah. So when it comes to, the police reports and all of that, I don't know. Austin, do you?
Okay, so for the application process, the police report is not required, right? But when you are in Germany and there are certain things you need to do, then they will ask for police reports. For instance, there are places you cannot work in, like in the gastronomy industry, for example. You cannot work there in Germany if you don't have a police report. You can't work in the kindergarten, for instance, if you don't have police reports. Like they call it a Führungszeugnis. You understand? So
They are talking about when the person
it's already
in Germany.
there.
It's already
Yes.
there.
The police report they're talking about, is it the one, for example, now since I'm from Nigeria and I'm already there in the country, would they ask for the one in Nigeria?
The one in Germany.
The one in Germany.
Yes. When it's required from you, it's required from the German authorities to make sure that your records are clean, to be able to participate in certain ventures, work or business or whatever. But as a requirement to go to Germany, it's not required.
But medical one is very important.
Like has been explained, you need a health insurance, that will cover, what health insurance is, of course.
Yes.
Thank you, Vera.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to the participants and everyone participating online. Like I said, this is the first in a series of webinars that the Migrant Resource Centre of the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment will be organizing. So we'll be having this on monthly basis, and I think by the next time we are having the next webinar, we are not going to have much interference. So we appreciate everyone, and I think Vera, there are no more questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for participating. Majorly, we also like to appreciate our partners. That's our partners from the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. And also, we appreciate the Goethe Institute for releasing Vera for us for this event. So, like I said, we are going to send the presentation to everyone. I think online now we can see people dropping their email addresses, so we will forward it to everyone. And if there are also questions that you may have, we have the Migrant Resource Centre in Lagos, we have it in Abuja, we also have it in Benin City. So we also ensure that these details are part of the email we send to you. So you can approach them, they are very approachable, I tell you that. So thank you everyone once again. Like, we promised from the beginning it's going to be a very brief event, and surely it is. So thank you for coming.